Hi, welcome to this particular video by Team PrepBee by the name of series Form Filling Fundas. So in this particular video, we would be discussing about how should we go about the questions that are mentioned in the form of IIM Kozhikode. Going ahead, what are the steps that we would have to follow whenever any form will be coming out? So as soon as any form come out, there will be a video by Team PrepBee on the same form, right? So if there are any questions mentioned in the form, our team will take care of the form filling of that particular video. Going ahead, you have to follow those instructions and you have to write your answer pertaining to whatever has been instructed to you regarding the questions mentioned in the form. Post that, we would be also coming up with a video that will be named by the series Charcha Hai B School, where we will be onboarding or collaborating with the people from same B School, sharing insights about college life, how their journey have been, what are the expectations while you are there in the college, etc., etc. You can take insights from that video as well, and then you can plug in the insights in your answer. For the students who have been enrolled into PrepBee program simultaneously, we will also be creating a group where as soon as the calls are out, where there will be people from the same B school who will be there to guide you, who will be there to share certain insights that are pertaining to that particular B school, right? The most important part here is, as soon as you are ready with your answer, as soon as you have made your answer after watching the video, kindly share it with your mentors. If you are not part of PrepBee, if you are preparing with someone else, if you have any mentor for that matter, please share your answer with your mentor and get them reviewed before submitting the answer. All right. Going ahead, see, these are the golden rules for the form filling. The first rule is clarity is much more greater than the creativity part of it. The panelists want to see that are you clear about the answers than you are mentioning. So instead of becoming more and more creative, you should firstly focus on being clear on what you are trying to mention. Then second, the most important part is logic is much more greater than fancy words. Panelist is not looking for jargons or very high English of that matter, but they are looking for logic in your answers. Then third point is specifics are much more appreciated than the generic claims. So if you are mentioning anything, try to back it up with an example. And last and the most important part is MBA should always be mentioned as a bridge and not a milestone. Now, if you have doubts that what do I exactly mean by the last point, I will definitely cover up that particular part in the upcoming slide. But for now, just keep this thing as mind that MBA has always been a bridge for anyone who is sort of joining an MBA, and it has never been a milestone for anyone, right? So, starting with the first question that is there in the form, briefly outline your professional plans and career objectives, explaining why you want to do a PGP and what you expect to get from it, right? This question is very easy, and to be honest, what this question is asking is that what are your professional plans, basically your long term goals and your short term goals, plus explain why you want to do a PGPA. So this is basically why MBA, right? And what you expect from it, right? So these are the major three parts of this particular answer. So how you should structure this answer is that firstly you should talk about your past. Now, what exactly do I mean by past? By past, I mean that whatever exposure, whatever experience you have had till now, it can come out from your work experience, it can come out from your internships, your life projects, it can come out from your undergrad degree also, and some other things that you have done apart from your undergrad degree, right? So, a mixture of all of these things will be accumulatively clubbed under the umbrella of past. Now, I am not mentioning that you need to pick and choose each and everything and mention that whatever things you feel are relevant to this particular answer, and sort of helps you to set a baseline to build a story for the upcoming answer, then that are the things that needs to be mentioned in this particular answer, right? We have already made a video on why MBA. I would suggest that if you have not seen that video, firstly you go and watch that video. In that particular video, we have explained in depth that how should you answer why MBA, and in that particular video we have also created a map pertaining to how you should answer that particular question, and that particular map can help you out a lot in this particular question, right? The second and the most important part that you should highlight over here is gap. See, if you mention something about your past and if you directly jump onto your future mentioning that I would want to be this in my future, I would want to do this in my future, without showing that pivotal shift or need for that pivotal shift, then the answer will look incomplete, and the shift that you are trying to show won't be in a transitional mode, right? You have just mentioned your past and your future, but there is no bridging between both the timelines that you have showcased in your answer. So that is why mentioning a gap and a constructive gap is very much important. For example, if you want to do something in your future, then what is the gap that you have felt at this particular time? That gap can be anything. Like, for example, you feel you need certain skills that you don't have at point in time, or there are certain opportunities that you feel are not present to you at this point in time, but for the future that you would want to have those opportunities are very much required, right? So the basic idea here is, if you have a past and you have certain future ambitions, right? Two major important thing is here: are you sure that these future ambitions can only be fulfilled by an MBA degree? First thing. And second thing that you have to make sure is that there should be some gap that you are trying to fill with this MBA degree, right? So this is something that you have to keep in mind. And again, I am mentioning, if you would watch that video of why MBA, you will definitely get a better understanding of how you can structure this particular answer. For the people who have already enrolled in PrepBee, we have already discussed this particular question for roughly 2 to 2.5 hours. You can watch that recording again if you want to. And if you have already prepared this answer, then you just have to tweak in this particular structure, this particular flow, and you just have to get it read by your mentor, right? So going to the next question. See, before going to the next question, what I would say is that if you are a person who is also applying for IMK PGP LSM, then this is a verbatim that we have got from one of the students in IMK LSM program, right? So if you want, you can pause the video over here. You can go through whatever is mentioned, and if you feel that something is very much relevant to you and you are applying for LSM, you want to plug in certain informations in your answer, you can definitely do that. So just pause video, go through what LSM has to offer. This is a student's perspective, what a student feels LSM has to offer, and then if you feel something is relevant for your answer, you can definitely pick that up, right? Now going to the next question: what is your most significant accomplishment so far? See, please understand that in this particular answer, something that is very important is the impact, right? We will obviously discuss the structure, but something that should be clearly highlighted in this particular answer is impact. And see, what they're asking is, they are not asking biggest accomplishment till now. So don't run behind brands. See, if I was working for this particular company, I was working for this particular firm. Don't run behind brands, don't run behind any particular experience because you personally feel that particular experience is very big. The keyword over here is significant, and significancy can only be explained by the virtue of impact that was created by that particular experience that you are going to mention, right? So see, star framework is something that all of you already know. This is a bit of tweaked version of star, that is basically situation, action, impact, and learning. So use this particular flow to make this answer. You can pick up any situation in your life that you feel is significant, was significant in your life, you would want to discuss that in an interview. By mentioning that situation in one or two line, for example, situation can be that at the time of COVID there was a lot of havoc around me and I was trying to build something to help people out. So this is just how you have to explain the situation. If you want to take example of a professional setting, you can mention that there was this particular client problem that we were facing, or this was a particular deliverable that was given to my team. This was the whole situation, right? In one or two lines, in one or two lines, basically talk about the situation and talk in a very crisp manner that the person understand that what was the situation. After that, you come to what were the actions that you took. See, the keyword over here is you, the action you took. Don't talk about we as a team did this, we as a team of five, we as a community did this. See, here the panelists want to see how you as a person have impacted any particular significant accomplishment in your life, right? So talk about what you did. If your team was doing something, instead of mentioning what your team did, showcase what your individual effort were there in that particular situation. Post that, when you have mentioned about this particular thing, then try to highlight the impact. For example, if there was a situation, there were certain actions taken to that particular situation, then what was the impact, how that situation was positively impacted by the actions that you took. And always end the situation based question. When you are answering them, always end them by learning. So this sort of showcases that you are not just a person who passes through experiences, but you are a person who sort of believes in perpetual learning in your life, and you are a person who sort of want to learn from experiences and grow as an individual, right? So this is the image that you would want to showcase in front of the panelist. And the best way to do is, when you are mentioning anything that is situation based, when you are highlighting any situation of your life, always try to end that on the learning curve, right? That this was my learning out of whole of the situation that I have talked about. All right. So now going to the next question, what are your present hobbies? See, before deep diving into hobbies, something that I would like to mention is that always try to mention hobbies that are active in nature and not passive, right? Now, what do I mean by active hobbies? For example, if you are involved in something, if there is a hobby of yours in which you are involved, and that is something that you do, right? The keyword over here is do, right? So try to mention these sort of hobbies. For example, I'll take example of badminton, and I'll try to explain how it can be passive and how it can be active. I personally enjoy playing badminton. I play badminton daily. It is something that I really love. Is a active hobby because you are actively engaged in that activity, right? And how it can be passive, I really love watching badminton. I really love playing badminton virtually, right? So that is not the core essence of the sport, right? Watching a sport is obviously good, following a sport is obviously good, but it will look better if you also follow a sport and then you also play a sport. Similar goes for, instead of mentioning that I like to watch cooking shows, mention that I like to cook myself, right? Instead of watching movies, you can mention that I not only watch movies but I try to analyze them. For example, you can talk about documentaries, etc., right? So you have to be very mindful that whenever you are mentioning any hobby, it should always be an active hobby and not a passive one. Now I'll take one of the examples, and I also tell you that instead of just my mentioning that what are your present hobbies, sir or ma'am, my present hobby is to play badminton. This is not how you have to structure this answer. See, for each and every question, the structure is the most important part, right? There are n number of ways of presenting same answer. So if there are five people who are giving same answer, then what will set you apart is the structure, the flow, and the totality of the answer, the spectrum that you are covering through that particular answer. Is there anything that you have missed out while speaking about that particular answer? So this is something that you have to make sure you are not doing, right? So first thing would be obviously mention about your hobby. Write one or two lines about what is your hobby and how you're pursuing it, right? So badminton has been a consistent part of my routine over the past few years. You have mentioned about your hobby in one line. Second is why you pursue it, right? It is very important that you try to give rationality to anything that you are mentioning, right? Obviously a B school professor or a panelist, in your case, will obviously love to see a person with a rational mindset and not a person who is doing ad hoc events in his life or participating into ad hoc events in his life, right? So while mentioning your hobby, you, if possible, think and try to mention why you pursue that hobby. Obviously, if you love something, if you pursue something, there should be a reason why you do that. For example, it helps me to maintain physical fitness and mental focus. Perfect. Understood. Why do you follow that hobby? Now, the last part is what it reflects about you. Because if you are involved in any event, we believe it or not, it evolves us as a person. It can evolve us positively also, it can evolve us negatively also, but definitely it will bring certain changes in us. So if you mention those changes, how it reflects is that you are a person who is self-aware about you, right? A person who knows about yourself, right? So it would be ending your answer at a very positive note, on a very good note, if you try to give this towards the end of your answer, right? For example, what we have written over here is, the sport has taught me the importance of preparation, quick decision making, and learning from losses, while reinforcing discipline and perseverance. So what you are indirectly doing over here is, you are talking about your personality traits, right? So you are talking about a personality trait, and in the same question, by where you were supposed to mention your hobby, now you have also highlighted how you are as a person, right? So what we are doing over here is, we are trying to give a answer in the complete sense, right? If you are doing something, what are you doing, why are you doing, and how it has changed you as a person. Just imagine that this structure will give your answer a very good pinch, right? So it will make your answer look very good in front of the panelist. All right, moving ahead to the next question. A very simple question, I would say, your strengths and weaknesses. See, this is something that anyone can't tell you. This is something that obviously requires a lot of uh, self reflection. This is something that I can't tell you. So first step would be, you have to think, obviously, right? So you have to sit, you have to think, what could be the strengths that I can talk about, what could be the weaknesses that I can talk about. Now when you have thought what are the strengths and weaknesses you have to talk about, now let me pitch in, now let me help you, that how you will structure the answer for strength and how will you structure the answer for weaknesses. Just a caveat, see, don't use cliches. For example, I am a person who chases perfectionism and that somewhat burdens me, right? So don't use these sort of cliches in your weaknesses part. You have to be very mindful when you're talking about your weaknesses. You have to be honest. You should accept that, yes, this is my weakness, I accept it. And also please be mindful that a weakness which is completely solved is not a weakness anymore, right? Also, something that I teach in my class also, you should always look at this particular question as strengths and opportunities. So if you think this question in this line, no, it will help you to sort of get a right direction. Instead of thinking what are my strengths and weaknesses, think about what are my strengths and opportunities, where I can build in, where I can develop myself as a better person. Now when you have thought of what are the things that you would want to mention, how you should talk about your strengths. Mention what is the strength you would want to talk about, or what are the strengths you have analyzed about yourself. Give a evidence to it. Evidence would be a situation where you have showcased that particular strength. If I'm talking, see, I'm a very hardworking person, 10 people can say same thing, that they are hardworking, but the experience that I will use to back that particular strength will create the differentiation. A person can showcase hard work through X situation, a second person will show hard work through Y situation. But how these X and Y situation are different, that will create the real impact, and not the strength that you're talking about in isolation, right? So always try to back the strength you are talking about with the example, with the situation. And while you are mentioning the situation, always mention the outcome. Don't leave the dish half baked, right? If you are mentioning a situation, also mention the outcome. So your strength, your situation that you would use to back it up, and what was the outcome in that particular situation. This will sort of be a good flow to write a strength answer. Then coming to the weakness that I also mentioned, you can think around it as an opportunity question. See, mention a weakness, mention that how it has impacted you, right? And the last and the most important part is corrective action. See, if you are telling about any weakness, you should always think it as, for example, at a point in time, there was X attribute or X weakness that you have identified, where you were only 10% proficient, right? So, what you have to showcase is that now you are somewhat 60% proficient. So, there is a 50% increase or 50% improvement that you have made till now by the means of corrective actions that you would discuss. But also, there is a room of 40% improvement going ahead in time, right? So it is so what you are trying to showcase is that there was a weakness of yours, it has impacted you in certain manner, but you have taken certain corrective measures. This showcases that you are self-aware, you are a person who is ready to improve, you are an adaptable person in that sense, and you are a person who can be molded. So see, this is the best thing any teacher or any professor would want. If you are a student who is ready to change, who is ready to accept the faults you have, who is ready to learn, most importantly, then obviously it will create a very good impression in front of panelists. So this is how you should structure this answer. Mention about your weakness, talk about the impact it has created, right? And then talk about the corrective action. And also, if you can tell in any sense that what is the present situation. If you can do this, it will like clear, make 100% clear cut shot that your answer is complete, right? So three steps are must do, and four step, if you can do, it will again create a much more better impression in that sense, right? All right. So see, this is the last question in your form, and I would say that this is a bonus question for all of you. And I think so that most of the people would be confused in this particular question, because the question that came prior to this was somewhat directional in the sense that it was clear what the college is trying to ask. But in this particular question, the college has given that any other information you would like to share. See, now if anyone will say ki any other thing that you would want to share, firstly I would be confused that what should be that thing that I would want to share. So my suggestion to you would be, instead of looking at this particular question in this sense, you see this question with a pinch of salt. Two iterations to it. Firstly, any unique information you would like to share, anything that you have not shared till now, but you would feel that this is something unique about me, any skill that you have developed, any achievements that you would want to talk about. Second thing would be any other information you would like to share that has not been highlighted till yet. If you feel that there is something, for example, you have certain experiences in NGO working, in volunteering, in leadership thing, you have been part of certain clubs and committees where you have drawn some good results for the clubs and committee. Anything that highlights your uniqueness, that showcases your USP, this is the simple thing that you should pick in this particular question, right? So instead of thinking that any other thing that you would have to mention, now just think about anything unique that you can mention. If there is something unique, please mention that. If you are not able to think in that direction, pick this particular one. Any other information you would like to share that has not been highlighted till yet, pick any of these two questions, try to build your answer in this particular aspect, and once you are done with all the answer, as mentioned, please get it vetted by your particular mentor, so that you can get some expert advice in that sense, and you can sort of create a better answer or better version of your same answer, right? So I feel this is all from our side. We have covered all the questions. If you have any doubt related to any question, you can mention in the comment section. We also have a Telegram and a WhatsApp community. If you would want to discuss anything with our team or with the mentors, you can definitely join that particular community. Link would be given in the description box, and you can definitely discuss if there is something. Also, please wait for Charcha B School for any particular B school that for which the forms are out. Towards the end, I would just want to say thank you for listening and all the best for all the calls that you are getting. We hope that you convert your best call. All the best.